Do not skip this video. What you are about to see happened in a real courtroom and changed the entire country's justice system. A child, only 3 years old, did something that shocked everyone. He pointed to a police officer among dozens of people. What happened next will leave you speechless. Turn on the notification bell and find out how an innocent child uncovered one of the biggest scandals in history. Please also let us know where you're listening from. It was an especially lively Tuesday at the Central Court. What seemed like an ordinary session was about to turn into one of the most significant legal cases in Brazilian history. Among the crowd was Carolina, holding her 3-year-old son, Gabriel. Little Gabriel, oblivious to the serious atmosphere, quietly played with his toy fire truck, his birthday gift. His curious eyes roamed the court's high ceilings, captivated by the grand chandeliers hanging above the heads of those present. Carolina was there as a witness in an armed robbery case. She had witnessed the crime through her shop window 6 months earlier and now had to testify. Having no one to leave Gabriel with, she brought him along. After much persuasion, the judge allowed it. The formal atmosphere of the court sharply contrasted with the child's innocence. While lawyers in their impeccable suits hurried through the corridors, Gabriel stayed in his own little world, driving his toy truck across the armrest of his chair. Then, the side doors opened for the bailiffs and police officers assigned to maintain courtroom security. A line of uniformed men and women entered, taking their usual positions. It was routine. No one paid much attention. No one except Gabriel. Suddenly, he stopped playing, his wide eyes fixed on one particular point in the room. His toy fire truck slipped from his small hands, crashing to the floor and echoing through the quiet hall. With a serious look far beyond his years, Gabriel raised his little finger and pointed straight at one of the police officers. "There he is!" His child's voice rang out, breaking the courtroom's solemnity. "Mama, it's him!" Silence filled the room as heads turned first to the boy, then to the pointed officer, who instantly turned pale. No one knew it yet, but that innocent gesture was about to trigger a chain of events that would forever alter the justice system. The officer Gabriel pointed at, Sergeant Silva, stood frozen, his face a mixture of surprise and fear. Carolina noticed his hands, previously steady, were now trembling. Judge Antonio Pereira, who was preparing to start the session, felt the tension rise. "Mama, it's him. That's him," Gabriel insisted with alarming certainty. Carolina, embarrassed by the attention, tried to calm her son, but Gabriel refused to be quiet, his eyes locked onto the officer. Sergeant Silva took a step back, trying to blend into the wall. Prosecutor Dr. Paulo Marquez watched with growing curiosity. With 20 years of experience, he trusted his instincts, and something about Silva's behavior triggered alarms. It wasn't the reaction of a wrongly accused man. It was the reaction of someone who had just seen a ghost. "Let's take a short recess," the judge announced, sensing the growing tension. "Sergeant Silva, I would like to speak with you in my chambers." As whispers filled the courtroom, Dr. Paulo approached Carolina quietly. "Ma'am, can you tell me why your son reacted that way?" Still confused, Carolina replied. I don't know. Gabriel has never seen him before. We're just here for my testimony about the robbery." The prosecutor frowned. "Did you see the robbers' faces?" "No. They wore masks, but one of them—" Carolina paused, realization dawning in her eyes. One walked with a limp on his right leg. All eyes shifted to Sergeant Silva as he walked toward the judge's chambers, limping slightly on his right leg. Prosecutor Paulo gave a subtle signal to court security to block all exits. His instincts told him they were on the verge of exposing something huge. Hours later, the incident had spiraled into a full-blown investigation. While Silva was detained for questioning, a special team began digging into his record. What they found went far beyond anyone's expectations. "Get me every case Silva was involved in over the past 5 years, Paulo ordered. The prosecutor's office quickly turned into an impromptu investigation center. Stacks of files piled up. A disturbing pattern emerged. In every robbery, victims mentioned a suspect with a limp. Silva was always the first officer at the scene and played a key role in the investigations. Carolina and Gabriel were placed under special protection. Gabriel, still too young to grasp the enormity of what he had triggered, played in a safe room, but whenever Silva's name was mentioned, he froze in fear. "Ma'am," Paulo said gravely, showing Carolina a file. "You need to see this." Dozens of police reports were spread before her, all featuring robberies with masked suspects, one limping on his right leg. But that wasn't all. Investigators also discovered massive deposits into offshore accounts linked to fake companies, coinciding exactly with the dates of the robberies. As the investigation deepened, past victims were re-interviewed. Many identified Silva from photos without his police uniform. One elderly victim even fainted upon seeing him. "It's him. He was there," she trembled. "He wore a mask, but I'll never forget those eyes. And that limp." The scandal grew when other officers began coming forward. One young cop speaking anonymously said, "He led a complex scheme. He used privileged police information to select targets, committed the robberies himself, then was assigned to investigate them, framing innocent suspects." The investigation exploded in the media. "3-year-old exposes police crime ring," screamed headlines. Central Court became the epicenter of Brazil's biggest corruption scandal. After 48 hours of intense interrogation, Sergeant Silva finally broke. "It started 7 years ago," he confessed on video. "We used privileged police information to target vulnerable people, traders, the elderly, anyone likely to have cash at home. Then we robbed them." The investigation uncovered a vast network involving 3 senior detectives and even a retired judge. This wasn't just crime. It was systemic manipulation, Paulo said at a press conference. They framed innocent people while staying untouchable themselves. Carolina's shop had been just one of many targets. When Gabriel pointed at Silva, Carolina later said, "I suddenly connected the dots. That limp, I saw it during the robbery. But my mind refused to believe a cop could be a criminal." Gabriel became an unwitting hero. Psychologists praised his ability to recognize subtle behavioral cues adults missed. Dressed in uniforms, people command trust. But children are guided by instinct, Dr. Vanessa Moreira explained. The investigation also exposed a massive money laundering operation. Over 50 million reais had been moved through cryptocurrency and shell companies. Each new document revealed more layers, said lead investigator Patricia Almeida. What began with a child's gesture became the largest anti-corruption operation in local police history. Previous victims finally found peace. Wrongfully convicted people were released. "My father died believing street thugs robbed him," said one tearful victim. "Now we know it was the very people who were supposed to protect us." Months later, after Gabriel's gesture changed the justice system, reforms were sweeping through the country. Dubbed the Gabriel Protocol, new rules mandated independent oversight, body cameras for all operations, and AI tools to detect suspicious police behavior. Carolina was invited to share her story publicly. "I never imagined that day in court would change so many lives," she said emotionally. "My son unknowingly exposed a crime and transformed a system." Little Gabriel, now 4, remained blissfully unaware of his impact. His photo, pointing his finger, became a national symbol with the slogan, "Truth can come from the purest sources." All recovered stolen funds were used to modernize the police and support victims. "This case taught us to look beyond appearances," said Paulo, now head of the new anti-corruption unit. "A child showed us that truth doesn't hide behind badges or ranks." Delegations from other states and even countries came to learn from the Gabriel Protocol. Law schools and police academies began studying the case. "This reminds us," said an international security expert, "sometimes we need a child's innocence to see what our prejudices blind us to." A memorial was built to honor the victims, and a psychological support program was launched for those affected. Gabriel, meanwhile, simply remained a happy child, unaware that his innocent gesture had planted the seeds for sweeping change. "Sometimes," Carolina said during the opening of a new police oversight center, "we need to set aside our adult sophistication and embrace the simplicity of a child's perspective. My son taught us that truth is clear as day, if only we have the courage to point to it." This incredible story has come to an end, but its lesson lives on. Subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss our next gripping story. And let us know in the comments, what part of this story touched you most? Share this video with friends and family. Together we can make a difference in creating a fairer world. Thank you for listening to Storyline Narratives.